So what are the two things Grandma Jones is bringing to the picnic? Paper plates, yeah, and silverware. And how many packs of paper plates did she get? 3 packs of paper plates. And how much did that cost her? $5.19. How would I write that as an equation? Just that information. Nothing about the silverware yet, just about the paper plates. How do I write 3 packs of paper plates is $5.19? 3p equals $5.19. Okay. And it says that she bought 2 boxes of the silverware and she spent a total of $12.09. So for that part of the equation, right, that's my second equation, I want it to equal $12.09. That's the total. And that's going to be made up of how much she's spending on the paper plates, as well as how much she's spending on the silverware. So I've got 2 equations written there. And which one's going to be easier to solve? Which price is easier to find, the silverware or the plates? Yeah, why are the plates easier to solve? Exactly, I already know 3 packs are $5.19, so how do I figure out what 1 pack costs? Yeah, I divide by 3. So what does 1 pack of paper plates cost? Yeah, $1.73. $1.73. So now that I know that, can I figure out how much the silverware costs? Yeah. So I'm going to rewrite both of these equations down here. 3p plus 2s equals 1209. Then I also know 3p equals 519. So that means, well, and did you guys figure out how much the silverware cost? How much was this silverware? No, just just 1 pack. Can you explain what you did to get there? So first I'm subtracting out the cost of the paper plates, which gives me $6.90, and then we're dividing it by 2 to get that final cost of 1 pack of silverware. There's another way to kind of think about this. So I know that 3p plus 2s is 1209, but I also know that 3p is 519. So I can take 519 and substitute it in for 3p, which gives me a brand new equation. I have 519 plus 2s equals 1209. And how do I solve for s here? What do I need to do to solve for s? Take away the 519 and then divide by 2, just like I did here. Minus 519, divide by 2, right? And I still end up with the same answer, right? 2s equals 690, and then I divide both both sides by 2. And we still get S is 345. Okay. How about number 2? I've got Uncle Craig now bringing what? What is Uncle Craig bringing? Chips and salsa. He's bringing chips and he's bringing salsa. How much does a bag of chips cost? $2.25. And how much does a jar of salsa cost? $3.50. And what did he spend in total? $41. So let's write an equation to represent that total cost. So I know he's buying chips and he's buying salsa. Chips and he's buying salsa. And I know that the total of those two things is going to equal 41. How do I represent the amount he's going to spend on chips? Just B? Very good, 225B, right? B is the number of bags of chips he's buying, and 225 is the cost of each one, right? If I have 1 bag of chips, I'd multiply by 1. If there was 2 bags of chips, I'd multiply by 2. But there's B bags of chips, so I multiply by B. And then what about for the salsa? Yeah, 350, and they're using J. Okay, so 225B and 350J equals 41. Now they also say that he bought 3 times as many bags of chips as jars of salsa. So can you take that one sentence and write an equation from that? He bought 3 times as many bags of chips as jars of salsa. See if you can figure out part B, please. We don't need to deal with the price at all. Don't worry about the price for part B. Just think about this one sentence. He bought 3 times as many bags of chips as jars of salsa. Did you buy 41 bags of chips and jars of salsa? This part, you're really close there. And it's really just 2 terms, 100%. What happens? I want it. Let's say I'm going to have 1 bag of chips. 1 bag of chips. Then I'm going to have 3 jars of salsa. And this is what food does. Those ones always kind of mess with me, and so I like to kind of think about it. You know what I mean? Because I like to remember which one. Because the way that it's written, you think it's exactly. B, the bags of chips. He wants to buy 3 times as many bags of chips as jars of salsa. So think about it. Bags of chips versus jars of salsa. Oh my gosh. So if I bought 1 jar of salsa, how many bags of chips would I want to buy? If I bought 2 jars of salsa, how many bags of chips would I buy? So that tells me that B is going to equal 3 times J. B equals 3 times J. Whatever J is, I need to multiply it by 3 to get to B. So now I want you to use these 2 pieces of information to see if you can figure out how many bags of chips and how many jars of salsa he got. See if you can figure it out from there. So what I've seen people do today to figure this out is they're just doing a lot of guessing and checking. So you can test it out. I could plug in. I know that if I buy 1 jar of salsa, I'm buying 3 bags of chips, or if I buy 2 jars of salsa, I'm buying 6 bags of chips. And I could test out these different numbers into this equation until I get 41. But there's a simpler way to figure it out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite these 2 equations over here. So do you see I have two different equations here with two different variables? Look, this second equation is solved for b. I have b all by itself. And is there a b in this top equation? So that means I can take 3j, since 3j equals b, I can take 3j and plug it in for the b. So this top equation becomes 2.25b, but now b is 3j plus 350j equals 41. So I just took two different equations with two different variables and I combined them together to be one equation with one variable. And now that lets me solve for the variable. But before I can solve for j, I've got to simplify this. I need to clean it up a little bit. So let's get rid of the parentheses here. What's 3 times 225? 675j plus 350j is 41. What's 675 plus 350? So 1025j equals 41. How do I solve for j? Divide by what? And what's 41 divided by 1025? Not $4, but four, huh? You're right, it's 4, but that doesn't mean $4. What is 4 jars of salsa? Exactly. So if I got 4 jars of salsa, how many bags of chips am I gonna get? 12, right? Because it's just b equals 3 times j, and if j is 4, then b has to be 12. Okay, let's flip over to the other side of the paper, and I'm going to take some notes with you first. Oh, you'll come back and do number 3, okay? Okay, but first I want to just take some notes with you. So we're going to take notes over here, and I'm going to write out kind of like the rules, the like steps to follow for substitution, and I'll also give you an example over here. So my example is going to be this: y equals, what was I doing? 3x, negative x plus 3, and y equals x minus 1. So there's my example. And my first step in my example is to substitute the equivalent expression into the other equation. So that only one variable remains. And that's what we were doing. We've been doing the last 2 days. Okay. Since I have y equals negative x plus 3, and y equals x minus 1 here, I can take this x minus 3 and I can plug it in for my y. I can take negative x plus 3 and plug it in for my y. And that produces a new equation with only one variable. So that's the first step. My second step is to solve for that variable. Solve for the variable. So I showed you when I want to solve for a variable, when I have a variable on both sides of the equal sign, I want to compare my variable terms and then compare my constant terms. Compare variables, compare constants. So what's the difference between x and negative x? Yeah, would I have to go down or up? Down. From x to negative x, right? If I was going negative x to x, I'd go up. But x to negative x, I'm going down 2x. And then what about 3 to negative 1? Good, minus 4. So now I know negative 2x equals negative 4. And then how do we finish solving for x? 5 by negative 2, 5 by negative 2. So what does x equal? Good. X equals 2. And is that it? Am I done? Yeah, so that's my third and final step, is to substitute again. Substitute this value back into the equation. Back in to find the other variable. And what that looked like in here was I just picked one of my equations. It didn't matter which one. And I took that value x equals 2 and I plugged it in for my x. So I get y equals, y equals 2 minus 1, which is 1. And then I always write my answer as an ordered pair. Okay? So I want you to try numbers 1 through 3 on this side, and also number 3 on the back. We're going to finish these problems up tomorrow, but I want you to try them out right now.